Welcome back to another episode of the Hey Tori podcast. Today, you're going to hear a second guest for our podcast, and her name is Krista. Now, me and Krista met through the book in the book club, and I have absolutely loved watching her journey. And she has some really great advice, and she's very much an action taker. So, we talk through her journey, and she grows her business in 5 years and a move, which is insane. So, enjoy her story. We do talk a lot about marketing, especially near the end, but we do talk a lot about the Workshops Unleashed book club. Now, this is the last episode that's going to air before the next book club opens. So it's opening on July 18th. So if you hear this podcast before July 18th, you can join us. If you hear after that, just know that you can buy the book Workshops Unleashed at any point. It's available in a lot of places, and the link is below. The book club runs every July and every January. So if the book club sounds like something that you would like to be a part of, you can join us at the next run through, which again, if you're hearing this right when it comes out, will be July 18th. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. So enjoy this episode with Krista. So, hi, Krista. Thank you for being here today. I'm really excited to talk to you about your business and your experience with the Workshops Unleashed Book Club and to hear about everything you've got going on.
All right, I'm glad to be here.
I'd love to know first, what's your business looking like right now?
Well, a lot. I have I do some long arming, which is what I started with. Then I've got patterns that I write. Um, I have a little quilt store, but it's in my house and slowly growing. And I teach a little bit too. So kind of four big things.
That's awesome. And do you teach strictly quilting or do you teach anything else right now?
I still have like 3 piano students from, like, before. That used to be what I taught all the time, but it's a lot more on the quilting stuff now.
So cool. Well, let me ask you, how did you first get into quilting?
So I started because of the cotton anniversary, and that was in the summer of 2021, and I wanted to make napkins in our wedding colors, but and tried to find people to make them for me. I didn't have a sewing machine, but nobody was going to do that, and so my husband and I looked up, like, where to go buy a sewing machine, discovered our local quilt store is like a block and a half from where we were living.
Nice.
Went down. I looked at sewing machines. He looked at all the display quilts while he was waiting for me. And then on our way back home, he's like, "Can you make me a quilt?" And I was like, um, so I did. I figured it out. I did and fell in love with it. Uh, and yeah, that's kind of the start there.
That's so cool. Yeah, that sounds like my husband with costumes. He's like, "Can you make costumes?" I says, no, 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 I can't. But what kind of quilt did you make? Do you remember?
It was just like a simple patchwork. It was all in green. It was his favorite color. All still is. And it had I had it's like the different colors of green like rotated through. So when I was trying to figure out how to make it and first like learning how to quilt, somebody was like, "Hey, check out um no, I can't remember the name of the quilting style." the um But, like, I could do it with, like, strip sets and make, like, a strip tube and then cut everything, and then I could just unpick one seam, and so then I could rotate it without having to cut, like, every single individual block and piece the whole thing together.
That's cool.
Bargello. It was
Right,
like
okay, I was thinking
yeah,
of Brazil. Okay.
yeah, so instead of, like, cutting, like, different widths, everything was all the same width, but, I used the Bargello style, like, method of putting it together,
Nice.
or at least for the piecing part, yeah.
So you
So
started that in 2021 and now you have a shop in your house. Take me through, how did you go from make me a quilt or can you make me a quilt
yeah.
to and picking out your first machine to having a business in just what, 5 years?
Yeah, yep. Um, I guess it would be, yeah, in 5 years. So I decided, like, the only quilts that made sense to make were, like, bed quilts, because where else would you want a quilt except for on your bed? So all these quilts were, like, they're huge, and I was really struggling to quilt them. Like, I just had, like, a little 6-inch throat sewing machine, and I was struggling with the whole sandwiching part and not liking it. And so I thought, okay, either I am going to stop doing this, which I didn't want to do because I loved it, and I'm a serial hobbyist. And I'd been trying for a long time to find something to get into, and I'd finally like found the thing. Or I was going to have to send them out and have someone finish them for me, or I could buy a long arm. My husband's like, "Well, how much is a long arm?" And I'm like, "Well, if we get this company, they could range from here to here." And he's like, "Do it." He's like, "Get the biggest one." And I'm like,
Nice.
"Okay." So we had a long arm in our house, like pretty much exactly 1 year later. And I, and then I wasn't sure if I was going to like love it or decided I had to love it because we had just dropped a lot of money. Um, and then I don't know, it's like later in the fall, I was starting to get pretty good at the long arming thing. And our local quilt shop had a few long armors kind of like drop off. I think one or two had passed away, some moved and retired. And they were needing more people to refer customers to because they didn't do anything in store. And so I was like, okay, sure. Like if you think I can do it, I can do it. So I did it, got a business name, a license, business cards, and then, like the people started coming in. That was so I think officially December of 22, so, like, 1.5 years from the time that I bought that, like, first sewing machine to the time that I was now, like, long arming for people was a year and a half. And then I added in all the patterns I was making were like, I would just come up with them. So I thought, well, I'd like to put them into a pattern, like, write one, but didn't know where to start. Somewhere along the way, I had found like Elizabeth Chapel's podcast, was listening to that and I thought, hey, like she does a course. So signed up and did her course and then started being able to get things into patterns. And then we were moving from where we were in Regina, like a larger center, to a small town north and like with nothing. And I thought, I'm going to need a quilt store. So I thought, well, why don't I just do one? And I knew that there's already like quite a few people quilting up here, both like for that and for crafts. And the supplier I already had for getting thread and things for long arming was able to like provide me with like so many more things. So we just expanded my account type into like a full retail account. And then I was able to start bringing all of that in. So yeah, so now I'm the quilt lady in town and people are starting to know where to come to for all their all their supplies.
Love that. You just kept adding the next thing, the
Yep.
next thing on. Oh, I do want to make a note that Elizabeth Chappell's podcast is Craft to Career. So it is a great podcast for anyone who is interested in crafting and business. And her pattern writing, is it called the Pattern Writing Academy, right? Is that how?
I can't remember.
I'm sure if anybody Googles pattern writing course,
Yeah.
Elizabeth will come up. Yeah. Okay. No, that's really cool. So you've got, so you're pattern designing and you have a long arm and now you've moved up really far north and you are located in Canada,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. In Saskatchewan and Larange. But if you look at the map, like Larange isn't much more than like halfway up the province, but everybody lives on like the lower third of the province. And that's just where like it's the prairies, like farmland. Um, I don't even know, like our province is like land size, like huge, like bigger than a lot of the states or European countries, but we're like just over 1 million people within the province.
Okay.
Yeah, like total. Um, so even like the cities aren't big.
Okay. So is it, like, up in the middle of nowhere?
Pretty much. There is, like, one highway in and out. You can still go further north, but then you start moving into, like, a lot of, like, reservation communities. Um, what else? Like, we have different mines as well, like, that people will fly into, so Laurent is kind of a great place for people to kinda, like, make their home, and then they'll be, like, into the mines every couple of weeks.
Okay, that makes sense. So you've got a nice little community hub around you, and that's how you can grow um, an
Yeah.
in-home store.
Yeah, and eventually, it should grow enough that I can move into a brick and mortar. Um, like, and Laurent is, like, a big center, um, comparatively, because the next big center is 2.5 hours south, and then we have, like, an actual city. But as far as our town, like, if you're further north or east, west, wherever, like, you're gonna come in to Laurent to do, like, all your grocery shopping and go to the doctor and the dentist and, like, whatever else you might need. Yeah,
Get some fabric and take a class.
that's right.
All right, so you moved up there, and then I know around the time when you moved is when you joined the book club. So the book club for Workshops Unleashed is coming up here, and that's one of the reasons why we're having an interview today. So I was curious on where were you when you heard about the book club? And yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah, okay, I was trying to think about, like, all the order of events for that because I can't remember, like, at some point I had seen your book, you'd shared about it in a Facebook group, and then, like, I'd already been doing some, like, tutorial videos on YouTube, but they were just, like, really random, like, little things here and there. So I think seeing your book kinda helped me think a little bit more like, "Oh, like, it might be nice to structure something a little bit more," but didn't really have much of a thought for it. And then it was right around the time, like, we already knew that we were moving, and I was working on trying to get myself already connected into the community before we'd, like, moved. And I knew that they were looking for people to teach some stuff, and so I think, like, a bunch of things all happened, like, together and very close. I don't know, like, what triggered what, but then I saw that you were doing the actual, like, book club, and I thought, "Okay, well, like, I'll get the book and run through that, and that should help, me think through, like, how to structure things better."
One of the things that makes me excited about what you just shared is knowing where I can show up. So this is a marketing podcast. So I just wanted to pause there and be like, posting in Facebook groups still works. If your ideal customer is in those Facebook groups. So I love hearing that, that effort is working for the book itself. And then the book club. So what made you say yes to jumping in and actually like signing up?
Um, it's a good question because it was definitely not the time in my life to do it. I think I missed one because I think we were, like, literally in the middle of moving, like, packing and all this stuff. Um, but I remember that we started in our old house, and then I finished the book club in our new house.
You did, yes.
Um, but I think the thing that helped, though, was that, like, you were still doing it for free at that time, and so that was it just made it really, like, low risk for me, and I was able to just kind of explore that. I think even though we were packing, like, I was just wrapping up with all my local long arming clients, and I was done teaching for the, like, piano for the school year. So knowing that, like, after the move, I wasn't going to have a whole bunch of long arming clients and a whole bunch more piano students coming in, and really wanting to move away from teaching piano, uh, made it kind of a natural, like, this was a good spot to put it in, even though, the chaos of the move made it hard in some ways, but, uh, it did give me like, I had that space because I was transitioning into taking the quilting business from being part-time and knowing it was gonna be full-time.
So it sounds like you chose it for your own commitment and moving forward with the quilting business. Does that sound
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like, we could say that, 'cause that's like, not having another source of income coming in and knowing that I needed to make the quilting thing happen, and that's been, like, this whole big it's pretty much been a year now since we've moved, and so it's been a lot of, like, putting things in place and trying to get that, like, much more off the ground, and so, yeah, doing the workshop, like, it made sense to do that, and then knowing that there was an opportunity to teach up here also helped.
Perfect. Okay. And then during the book club for Workshops Unleashed, what in there helped you be not just learning what was in the book, but also taking action on it?
I don't know, like, that's a hard one for me to answer because I've always been an action taker, so, like, if I decide to do something, then I'm doing it. If if it doesn't, like, stay in my thoughts for more than 5 minutes, then it's just like, it's a pass, but if it's been like, "Oh, yeah, this could be something, like, I'm interested in doing," and think about it, then it's like, "Yep," and then I, like, committed, and I just so I don't know that I could say, like, I was really delaying in anything because even the concept of considering to teach, like, I don't think from the time that I really thought about to the timing of your book club, and making things happen was only maybe, like, within a matter of, like, 2 months. Yeah.
Hmm. So it seemed like it fit. The time frame was good because it was
Yeah.
the book club itself is like 6 weeks. Really don't do much on the first and the 6 weeks. It's more of a intro, get your book, make sure you got it in start reading week, and then the last one is a catch up week before the grand prize for the in this case it would be the business intensive that gets the prizes. So yeah, it gave you a good amount of time to not only move, get settled, but also get some classes um, down on paper. And I know with all the chaos, how did you find time to actually do the exercises?
I just made time.
You made time. That's a great answer.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, it wasn't I mean, the chaos of moving, but I still had like, there's a lot of things even with our house, like, I couldn't just do on my own. So, while my husband was away with work, then, like, I had other things that I was doing, and I was working on writing a pattern within that time frame as well, so, yeah, lots of computer work happened.
Excellent. That's a good time for computer work.
Yeah.
All right. What was some of your favorite parts about the book club?
Having like, you're like a big, like, get it done and push personality, and sometimes I need that, so probably overall, that was, like, my most favorite thing, uh, and having, like, some structure and, like, some deadlines to be able to meet and stay on top of, and knowing that I had a capacity to get some feedback, helped me take advantage of, like, staying on top of things. Um, I think though, like, from the book, probably the designing the workshop chapter was the most helpful. Uh, I've done, like, lots of teaching, like, that's my education background as well. Have a middle years, education degree, but all the teaching I've done and I never actually taught in a school, except for I substitute taught for a year. I've only ever taught piano otherwise. But everything I've done has worked from, like, something that was already, like, laid out for me. I just had to kinda, like, facilitate the whole thing and then make it work, like, within each student's individual needs. But to design something from the ground up wasn't something that I had done, and the design the workshop section really helped a lot with that, and doing it with the book club made it go from feeling like this, like, big scary thing to, like, these little, like, bite-sized steps that I could do, and all of a sudden I was like, "I'm doing this. It actually isn't so hard."
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. For those that are listening, I'm going to break this up so you know what the book club entails because she was talking about different elements that are inside it. The first one you can do is free. It's emails and post in Facebook group, and you share your homework. So we have assignments every week. You get something done. One of those is the designing your class, and that's filling out the curriculum map. The other part of the book club that you can sign up for, but you don't have to, it's a paid business intensive. That's where we meet on Zoom. That is where you can submit your curriculum map. You can submit all the other homework that you have, and I'll give you direct personalized feedback. So that's what she's talking about. So you have two options. Is free is just emails and accountability, and then the paid one has prizes and a live meeting and personalized feedback. So you can choose either one. I love the fact that you brought up the design your workshop, because you're right. A lot of teachers, I was a teacher for 3 years in Texas. I'm a military spouse, so we moved all over the place. So Texas is where I was a teacher, and that was one thing that I fell in love with. I had a hard time with the energy and what was expected of me in the moment in a classroom, but I loved the curriculum planning. So it was really fun to get to like lay that out for everyone else in the book and be like, hey, this is how you plan a curriculum. That's really cool. You said that part.
Yeah. Yeah, and the course that I started is still like I haven't done like that actual course, but I feel like, there's a good answer for that though. It just wasn't what was needed in the moment in town. And so what I ended up doing instead was creating more options of courses that were directly relevant to where we had moved. And when I'm looking at them, from like kind of the town's needs, and I think a lot of other people who've like never picked up a sewing machine before, to the course that I had worked on, kind of hashing out within the book club, there's like, beginner all the way up to like kind of some intermediate work. And I thought, well, why not just build kind of a whole roadmap from one thing to the next? And so it's saved on my computer. It will be done. But I want to build up better to it. So I have, um, I guess, so anyone who's coming in, if they like my teaching style, they can kind of go as far as they want to with their learning. And then they're not like, me and then somebody else, which isn't like a bad thing. But I want to create um, like a little bit, yeah, like a pack or a community of people who are like, hey, this is great. Like, this is some really good teaching. And as they grow in their own stuff, like I'm still always going to be relevant to them and what they're wanting. And by the time I get there, I'm sure there will be other people who will find it and come in from, different levels of, and, their own quilting journey, and find and put together different courses or pick different things that they'd like to. Um, but I want someone who starts with me to be able to like really learn a lot and go for a while.
I think that's smart to keep in mind from like a business perspective, and kudos on the marketing perspective. You knew that your audience wasn't quite ready for what you were envisioning and starting in a different spot. I Smart. So from what you're describing, are you thinking of your class as gonna be in person and online? Are you doing a combination? How's that all laying out?
Yeah, right now they are in person. I do want to get those same ones online, but the it takes time to film and put that stuff together. like a lot of hours. And when you're a solo show, you're doing like, like when you watch a movie and all the end credits, you're all the people. So, um and I've got a few other like collaborative projects and other summits that I'm putting videos together for. And those have like, we got to have this video in by this date. So that way they're ready for when the summit airs. So those things are, while they're not like exactly the thing that I'm trying to teach locally here in town, they do put me in front of a massive audience number that I could not get to like on my own. So that's, there's a whole importance there for doing those. And eventually I will get those filmed. And I think part of like the process of filming for these other summits, like I'm learning so much about, putting like teaching and filming and the editing process. So the experience and the skill set is really going to help come in behind when I do get to filming the classes that I've already taught in person. I think it's just going to elevate that to a whole level, like just a whole nother level of like, professionalism behind those videos. And that's like the thing, like, people are now paying for those when they come out, and I want them to have like the best that I can possibly give them. Whereas, these other things aren't really like paid gigs in the same way. And while I still want them to be good, because you want to put that impression out there, but um, they're a great spot to gain a lot of learning and that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, summits
So
are really big right now, and a lot of people are finding success in growing their audience by joining these summits. I'm wondering, there is a section in the book about programs that can help with anyone who's new with creating a summit presentation that could help give them direction. And I was wondering if you had looked at that at all, or did they provide you with a framework for your summit, or did you just wing it?
just winged it. I kind of forgot about that actually being in there. And then there wasn't really a whole lot of direction, as far as what to expect. The first one, in some ways, was easier to do because it was called like Quilter's Paradise Fast and Easy, and it was a small project that we filmed, and we had to fit it, I think, within like maybe 40 minutes or less. I think that was the timeline. So I'd already been filming like tutorials to go along with a mystery quilt that had like aired. So filming like how to do a project was like kind of second nature at that point. Um, this one is different because now it was more like they wanted more of a skill set, like something that you can teach or share. And it didn't really matter what it was. Like it could be a block, a technique, anything. And I decided to do um like precision, like piecing with what I call it precision without pressure. Um
Ooh,
I'm just really good at like piecing accurately, like my points always show up, seams always line up, and people comment all the time. And I'm like, well, like it's not actually that hard to do. So I just went through, listed like all the things that I watch for as I go, and then use that to help formulate my teaching plan and built out a script and like editor's notes and like I'm going to do this shot of this thing. So it was a bit of a production to get that one going. Like so much more than just teaching a project. Yeah.
I love that. So you kind of worked That's exactly how I would have suggested it, is work your way backward from what you wanna talk about. That was really smart to map out the things that you look for and then and then put it together. That's so cool. Okay, so now that you started teaching, right? So we're done with the book club, and what have you used from then on when it comes to teaching? Maybe a better way to ask it is what kinda stuck with you after we were done?
Okay. Hmm. You didn't ask me this question in the email. I have to think for a minute. What stuck with me?
I love this question because I feel like it's the most whatever impacted you the most during follows you. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not sure like how much because it's been a while since I've read and gone through the book. And you probably talk about it in there. And I know I've heard it on more than one occasion from other podcasts that I've listened to. And it's thinking about like what the student needs and making sure that you're like you're covering that when you're teaching everything. So when before I even start like really putting a whole lot of stuff like pen to paper, I'm making the project and I'm trying to think of like, how would I teach this? What kind of issues would come up? Uh, and so I have this like running narrative like through my head as I'm going through it. I probably should take more notes as I go to say, hey, like make sure to mention like this thing. Um, and I started to practice that a lot when I was filming, like all the kind of the tutorial for each step of the mystery quilt to the point that it was like is way too detailed and way too long. And I'm going, these are not like brand new. I've never touched a sewing machine quilters. I need to cut this stuff out. But um, it was good to know my brain was already thinking about that. So when I was working on developing like you've never sewn anything before, what am I going to need to tell or instruct? And because I'm only, what did we say? Like 5 years? Yeah, I only started quilting 5 years ago. So many of those experiences are still like fresh in my mind. Uh, and I think the other thing that maybe has helped, I'm always like, it was always a game to me to improve my skill set. Like, what was like the little thing that I could try differently next time so I can understand what happened better or why it turned out this way? Or like, what did I do? Like, why did this thing actually come together really well, but then not this other time? And as I tried to like analyze everything that was going on, then that let me build up like a lot of strategy in my own like how I approached everything. 'Cause I don't know, like when you're YouTube taught, uh, you kind of piece different things together. And also, like coming in from the student perspective, I knew like, I don't know, like I'm trying to like figure out what they're talking about, and it's not making sense because something wasn't like a camera angle wasn't showing it right, or something was just like missing. And so when I went through and then started building up like these classes to teach, I was like, oh yeah, like that was that one thing. I finally figured it out. But like I had no context, like finally it just like clicked and made sense after like lots of like it worked and didn't work. So now I know how to be very specific on like, this is what this thing should look like. Or if we look at it from this way, now you can actually see what's happening. And I can just position the camera better for that. Or if I'm doing a live demonstration for an in person class, then I can like point something out just a little bit better.
No, I think that being so close to this, because you built your business very quickly, and turning from learning to teacher in such a short amount of time, I think that's in its own way a little bit of a superpower, because when you get really good at something, you've been doing it for decades, sometimes we forget what those steps are. And because we're just moving so fast, we already know what to do. And we forget that a brand new quilter coming in, or craft, or whatever craft that you are teaching, sometimes they forget that, oh, this is what I do to make sure this doesn't happen. And then a student will stop and be like, wait, what? What am I supposed to do next? But because you've only been sewing or quilting for 5 years, and I'm it sounds like you got a lot of quilts under your belt. So I think you have a ton of experience. But I think it does help that you're so close, that you have those memories to help those that are coming up behind you. So I think that's in its own way a little superpower.
Yeah. Well, there's also the like I love watching a medical show, and they'll always have the like, you see the procedure, you do the procedure, you teach the procedure. And I think like I mean, teaching piano, that was a whole different thing because I started lessons when I was a kid. But as an adult and like more recently starting quilting, and that whole journey has been so much more like a see, a do, and a teach method. Um and it seems to be going good.
Yeah, no. The best way to learn is to, well, number 1, make mistakes. And
Yeah.
number 2 is to teach. And if we don't wanna run around making a ton of mistakes, teaching is a great way to learn. That's excellent.
Yeah, I noticed that too, even just like with teaching piano, like things that I wasn't as sure about, the more I taught, like the more comfortable like I became in like really understanding. It was, yeah, it was really neat because I became a better piano player, like everything just because I was teaching. And not that I wasn't qualified to teach. I definitely was. um, but yeah, you get it better.
You do. You do. And little nuances and ways to phrase things, different ways to phrase things.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to, point out was the way that you went into full detail. I think that, as I'm putting my marketing hat on right now, one of my favorite ways to come up with content when I am marketing a new class that's coming up is to take those little things that you're doing to fix the mistakes that you're making and making content out of that. It's like taking the question, like, what mistakes are they making? And you answer the mistakes in your content. So your blog posts, social media content, reels, pictures, and you kind of hook them with that and show them like, hey, if you want to know more, I'm teaching all about it in a class. And it can be a great and easy way to share about what you know, establish yourself as an authority, and get some really cool like I'm thinking visual content because it usually has to do with fabric and it's usually really pretty, or you have a cool tool that you're using or something like that. Have you and that leads me right into, I think, how do you get the word out? How do you get the word out about your classes?
For teaching in town, um, I didn't have to. So there's a whole bunch of like story behind that. Initially, one person was looking for artisans and they wanted like anyone who was willing to teach. And I was like, hey, cool, like I'm moving up and I can teach quilting. Um and then it kind of moved into this whole thing of like, oh, like, okay, great. We have access to like the school and the machines. And then all of a sudden it was like, I don't know if we can use the machines. We might still be able to use the school for a space. And so it's like, okay. And I'm like, I'm determined. Like, I'm going to teach. So I'm like, okay. So I went out, picked up 4 machines, and I was like, okay, we're looked after on the machine side. Like, we just need a space. And then something else like had come up into like this whole like chain of events. And all of a sudden, this thing that I was so sure was going to work out suddenly was like done. And I was like, great, I'm stuck with stuff. So, but in all of that, like the initial project idea I had was like quite large. And then I was able to come up with ways to scale that down. And then I thought, well, okay, we're looking for something that could be done in a couple of hours. And so it just changed the whole nature of what I had like from my original idea of what I was going to teach to what I actually did end up teaching. And as I did that, like I knew there wouldn't be like a ton of opportunity to teach like regularly in town. So all of that was built with the idea to bring that like to film it and then get it online, um, with the potential to create like kits and ships and stuff out for each of those projects as well. So it wasn't a bad thing. It was disappointing, but it helped shape what ended up happening. And then after I had finally gotten my business license, I made a Facebook post in a community page and was like, "Hey, like I'm here now officially." And someone from the library reached out to me and was like, "Hey, like are you interested in teaching?" And I'm thinking like, "Yes. Yes, I am." And that actually ended up working out. And so once I had that, then I started developing like putting like the first couple of courses. So I've taught the first 2 of kind of a 3-part like level 1 series, and those are and it's kinda nice, like, when they're done, you just can, like, reteach them, and there's not a lot of work to go back into it. I have to make a kit because I don't teach them how to cut their fabric or anything in those. We just need to make the project and do it quickly and be in and out. So I have that prep work, but, yeah, it ended up being good and working out that way, just not how I expected.
I've seen a lot of businesses grow with just posting in local groups. So, Facebook groups, like you said. I've
Mhm.
also seen next door people are sharing when they have in-person classes. And Nextdoor is it's an app for neighborhoods. And I got it when we moved here because there wasn't a base. So I shared a military spouse. Usually when you move to a post or a base, there's like Facebook groups for those bases that you can join and kind of get network with. You ask questions like, everywhere I moved, the grocery store is called something different. And I could never figure out where the good grocery store is. So that's always a question. I'm like, hey, where's the grocery store? And it's funny because during PCS season, you'll see those questions pop up in other military spouse groups like, hey, is it Publix here? Is it Kroger here? Is it Meyer here? Is it what is it in this area? So like things like that. And so when I didn't have that here in Michigan, we're in Metro Detroit where there's no post or base or anything. I joined next door to see what was over there. And that's kind of where I've seen a lot of creative classes posting. And it's really cool that you shared that because I think that we overlook the simplicity of just reaching out to the local community and being like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing." And even though you're moving your classes, your in-person classes, both staying in person, but also moving online, it's still something you can share in a local group and be like, "Hey, I'm a local teacher, but I'm also online. So if you need anything in person, I've got kits for these online classes," and things like that, where they can actually stop by and pick up their kits and things like that. So I think that's really smart.
Yeah. I've gained quite a few new people like following my business page that are local in town, which is good because if I post about, something new that I've brought in or anything they might need, it helps that they know where to find me.
For sure, for sure. So currently, how are you marketing your business?
That's what I need to come see you about.
Oh, really? Oh, I love that. Okay. So for those that haven't heard, I have the digital marketing magic coaching program. So is that what you're referring to, Krista?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Well, sounds
Uh,
like a great way to start.
it's like between listening to a handful of podcasts, I've listened to like Jeff Walker's like launch as an ebook, and I have the book. Which there are a few things like I kind of did not, I didn't like really like go in depth and follow all his stuff when I relaunched one of my mystery quilts, but um, I'd say like I think it helped a little bit, gave me a little bit more like what I might like want to do, but um, that is like that's like my next big professional development goal. Um, and part of it too, like I actually have something to market now, which
Hmm.
is different than like before. Even like, 6 months ago, there wasn't really a whole lot to market. Uh, it was still a lot more like, I moved past kind of that ideation phase into like the product development. And then I don't know, you can only learn so much about like marketing, I guess, ahead of time before you're really ready to like dive in and actually like do all the stuff. And now I'm at like that stage and it's been my next big developmental goal for this next, I guess, school year. I still run on school years. Everybody runs on a school year.
I know we do.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that you laid that out too, because I've had people come to me asking if the DMMC is good for them. And one of my first questions is, do you have something to market? Because if you're not ready to market, um, it's not ready for you, or it's not a good spot for you to be in. But no, and I mean not a good spot to be in. I mean, it's not a good time to join the
Yeah.
DMMC.
Yeah. So
No, I love that. Okay.
that's when I've got a few deadlines I have to like finish wrapping up and get done. So that way I have like that space so I can give some time and space to it like truly. Otherwise, it's one of those I don't want something to be the thing that I'm like paying for and then I jumped in a little bit too soon. And I learned that lesson the hard way.
Well, you even
Definitely
did that with
paid
the
for
book club.
things. Well, and because like your course is different. Like it's one thing if it's kind of an evergreen thing and then you always have access to it. But yours, yeah, your DMC
Two
DMMC or
M's. Yeah, two
DMC?
M's.
Oh, two M's. Okay.
Two M's.
DMMC is not like that. Like it's like ongoing coaching and if I don't do what I need to do, like then I've just wasted like a month of my money, which I mean, as a piano teacher, I'm like, well, whatever, if the parents gonna keep paying. Um, you know, they know their child's not practicing so much, but like you don't really want to like just kick somebody out. But you also recognize like they're not getting the best value for their money. And when there's only so much of it and you're trying to use it the best way you can, I want to make sure I can like give it the time that it needs. So
And it is an investment. And I love that you take it that seriously. That's excellent. It's like my favorite kind of student is someone who takes it very, what's a good word for it? Very, well, very serious, but also that you are ready to take action. And you know, if you're not taking action, then you're not getting what you want out of it.
yeah. It's the last quarterly book club meetup. Um, you guys couldn't see my husband, but he was sitting and like listening in. And I was like, hey, I'm like, you know, because you kind of it went into like this whole little coaching session almost with the four, I think the four or five of us there, and I was like, this is like who I want to pay next to like help me like do the next things better. And I'm like, oh my God, she's so good. Like I can't not do something because she's gonna like put the pressure on and make me go like you kind of cringe a little bit, like if something hasn't been done, um but it's like that structure that I need so much of, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I think that'd be great for you. So so I've got his full support too.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm excited to help when you're ready. That's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it too. Mm.
I mm, I've got ideas. I've always Well, the coaching call I mean, not the coaching call, it turned into a coaching call. The quarterly planning, I just started coaching, so I'm like, "Okay, this is" I'm just gonna put my coaching hat on because I don't know if I can stop myself from coaching, but I did ask you, 'cause like, "Can I coach you on this?" Before we dive in? Because I don't wanna 'cause some people aren't always ready to be coached, you know? It's like
Hmm.
some people are like, "I just need to vent," or "I just need small amounts of accountability," or "What is the very next step?" And not like, "This is why you need to do this because of this," kind of thing, but that was really fun. I had a lot of fun with our quarterly calls for the book club. So, for those that are listening, I don't know if we said this yet in this podcast, but we do quarterly meetups for the book club. So, if you join the book club, you get invited back every quarter to just meet in the room. And we usually do breakout rooms if there's enough people. Summer is usually the lower time when we have like 4 or 5 people kind of show. So, it's a smaller group. So, you get all kinds of attention from everybody in the room. So, I do try to let everyone talk. I'm never the person who talks all the time in the book club and things like that because it's more about the network you build in the room and that I give direct feedback via like email and a little bit face to face. Yep. So before we wrap up, I'd love to know what are you working on next?
I am starting to get my next mystery quilt put together. And then my first one has like recently relaunched, so it's kind of evergreen. Um, which it's so much fun. um, and it's the first one. Well, and both of them and everything ongoing. I'm building them out like a series, so it's like a timeless mystery quilt one, maybe quilt two, and quilt three, and they come with a companion novel and um, I guess you could say like teaching videos. I think I teach more that like tutorial a little bit. Not everybody needs them. They're there if someone's like, it's just like quilt number two that they've ever made and they just need that extra. I've had people who didn't need to watch the videos but did anyway and say that they learned a lot out of it just from like technique and like little like precision things that I do or efficiency things. So that's always been like really good to hear. And the one that's now evergreen, you can do it on your own timeline. So you get to choose if you want it mailed out to or emailed out to you every week or every 2 weeks or once a month.
It's cool. I haven't heard about that yet. I heard that before.
Yeah, I mean, from the business side, I use Flowdesk for all my emails. And within Flowdesk, it's not even like part of that workflow. Like it's its own separate one. But when you put in a button for someone to click on, you can trigger an action so that they jump into whichever workflow you assign for it. And so whichever button they click on, then it triggers and moves them into the workflow based on that timeline.
Smart way to
And
use
I only
that.
had to do the workflow once. I just copied and pasted it, like you can duplicate. And all I had to go through then was just change the like frequency for the emails to go out, how much like the delay time.
Nice. Yeah, that's kind of how we do the book club with the emails. I've written the emails a couple times because they're based off of the book. So the book stays standard. And so it's really easy to just copy the flow and then run it. And it's so much fun to show up in the Facebook group and see who's done their homework and to cheer everybody on. All right. So, Krista, where can people connect with you?
Yep. Um, my website is www.timelessquiltstudio.com. And on Facebook, uh, just search for Timeless Quilt Studio. I am on Instagram, but it's not where I normally am. Like if you wanna reach out or interact, you've gotta go to Facebook for that.
Good to know. All right. Thank you so much for being here today, Krista. I really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It was really nice to be here.